morning, good morning, good morning. It is 5:30 on a Sunday morning. I'm going to record real quick. It's not just any old Sunday morning. It is Father's Day. Let me show you this real quick. I love this. Look at this. This is my Father's Day shirt. Oh, you can't see it. It's got too many lights on it. Anyway, it says World's Best Dad, and it's got Art Dad on there. It's got, anyway, you can't really see it, but hey. It's my art dad shirt for Father's Day. I'm going to spritz these watercolors real quick so that they're nice and juicy here in a few minutes when we're ready to use them. And then this morning, what we do on this little program is we wake up in the morning and we pull a toy out of the toy box, a random object out of what I like to call the Random Object Randomogrifier. And we throw the toy up on the light stage there and we draw and sketch it while we talk about it. This morning, it's a Bastet statue. And so we're going to draw and sketch a Bastet. Talk about the origins of Bastet, the importance of domestic cats in human history. If we can remember to talk, and we say we because I have my little girl running production. She's in my ear. It's supposed to remind me when I forget to talk, but both of us get distracted. My mom used to have the same problem when she would run production for me. It's so easy to get caught up in the stories that we forget to pay attention to the cameras. This is the composition phase where we just want to make sure that I just want to make sure everything fits onto the paper where it goes, and that everything that we want to include gets included where it's supposed to go. Bastet is a cat, obviously, and she's often referred to as a female. She's not always referred to as a female, but she's often referred to as a female. A lot of times in Egyptian art, she's represented as a young lady with a cat head. She's also often represented as just a whole cat. She has a sister, Sekhmet, who is a lion. Same thing, often represented as a girl with a lion head. And Sekhmet was the goddess of war, but Bastet was the goddess of domesticity, fertility, what else? I made notes. Protection, fertility, motherhood, and of course cats. She's seen as a nurturing goddess. Can't talk, farting. She's also a guide to the dead. When they're dead, she guides them through the afterlife. According to the movie The Mummy, mummies are terrified of cats because mummies are people who are trying to escape the afterlife. And obviously Bastet is trying to help you get to the afterlife. That head shape is going to mess with me. I'm going to have to figure out, I have to make sure it's real easy to turn a cat into a fox, into a dog, if you're not careful, you have to pay attention to what is different about the shape of a cat versus what is different about the shape of a dog or a fox or any other animal. Then the other thing I have to remember is this toy, and it's not, hey Ivy, and it's not anatomically accurate. So one of the really neat things I found out yesterday about cats, a lot of the stuff that I thought I knew about cats is apparently just not true. For instance, my whole life I've been told that cats are particularly targeted and abused on Halloween because of black cats, and that's not true. It's just more popularized on Halloween, meaning that it doesn't happen any more or less on Halloween than it does any other day of the year. But when it happens on Halloween, the news people like to point out that it's Halloween and that it's demonic. But it doesn't happen any more or less. According to the ASPCA, it doesn't happen any more or less than it does to any other cat any other time of the year. And those are lifelong stories I've always heard. Right? But cats were very important to humans when we first went from hunter-gathering to farming. We of course attracted large stores of food, attract rodents, and that attracted cats. The rodents attracted cats, and anthropologists believe that cats self-domesticated. We didn't go out say, hey, this thing would be really good for our household. This thing showed up and said, hey, I'd be really good for your household. And so because of the rodents and insects and snakes in the Fertile Crescent of the Near East, where farming began, the cats just showed up, started taking care of it, and the people started taking care of the cats. And the more the people started taking care of the cats, the more domesticated the cats became. And cats, the cats self-domesticated. They're the only animal self-domesticated. Everything else, we were like, hey, if we could figure out how to make these cows stay around so we can eat them, that would be really good. But cats did it all on their own. That's what the anthropologists are thinking. So you can see that because cats were very important to keeping very important to the farmers and the early peoples. You can see how it might be easy to develop a religion around them. Mom says there's a lot in the chat. She says there's a lot of superstition around black cats. So it's funny though, when you go and you look that kind of stuff up online, all the superstition around cats, bad luck, witches, Halloween. When you go and you look that stuff up, it's all very recent because most of the cultures thought cats were good luck. There's one one, I don't know if he was a deacon or a priest, that wrote a letter a couple of hundred years ago. But very few people have seen that letter, or would have seen that letter at the time. And that is the justification. That is what everybody points to and says, see. But all the letter said was that he witnessed a satanic ritual where they kissed cats. It doesn't say that the cat itself was satanic. But the Irish, the Welsh, the Celtic, and the Gaelic all thought cats were good luck. And so did they think throughout the Far East, Near East, and Middle East. They thought cats were good luck. They thought cats were good luck in South America. Can't talk, farting. But the Scottish people had a folk tale about a cat Sith, which was the size of a small dog, that would walk around on. It was a black cat with a white spot, and it walked around on his back hind legs. On its back hind legs. That's redundant. It walked around on its hind legs and would perform mischief. But they didn't think it was a cat. They thought it was a witch that was turning herself into a cat. And she would steal souls. When you died, if she walked across your body before your soul crossed over to the land of the dead, she would steal your soul, and that would grant her another life. Ivy says she's had cats her entire life, and until January had never had a horrible cat bite wound, but that's definitely important enough to mention to get their treatment immediately. Yes, if you get cat bit, cats do carry bacteria in their mouth, especially if you let them go outside frequently. Cats do carry bacteria in their mouth. If you get severely bitten, if you get punctured by a cat, go get your shots. Go get taken care of. Ivy's been having to do physical therapy to get the use of her finger back. And I know it's not funny, but it is germane to today's story that cat bites can be quite painful and dangerous. But I'll tell you, there's another story, and there's not a whole lot to talk about Bastet, so we're going to talk about cats in general. The Black Plague. For years I've heard the story that they think that cats were killed off because of witchcraft, because of the bad luck, because of witchcraft. Cats were being killed off in Europe, and that's what allowed the Black Plague to take over, because there was nothing to kill the fleas, to kill the rats that were carrying the fleas. And there's no evidence of that. There's no evidence that cats were murdered. There was one particular instance of cats being sacrificed by some weird group, and that made the newspapers back in the 1700s. Let me dry this real quick. best thing is we're going to have to do it at least one more time. We're going to have to dry that. We're going to have to dry the paint at least one more time. But it turns out cats are susceptible to the plague. So they were dying from the plague also. All right, let's darken her up just a little bit. Okay, and then same for this shadow. I want the shadow to be more blue. I just want to differentiate. Can't talk, farting. Where were we? So then you fast forward to modern day, and they're being sensationalized as Halloween and witchcraft in the movies and in posters, in stories since the 1800s. And because of that, they're getting a really bad rap. That's bad luck and such. And stuff that never happened historically starts happening more frequently, like the killing of cats. But back during the plague, back to what I was saying a minute ago, during the plague, cats were being killed, but not because they were witchcraft or anything like that. They were being killed for food. People were killing and eating them, wearing their skins. So Ivy brings up a good point about mummified cats in the chat. The Egyptians loved their cats so much that they mummified them, that there are burial grounds dedicated to their pets, and they mummified them so they could have them again in the afterlife. My mother, when we lived out in the country, I grew up in the sticks where my nearest neighbor was a mile away. And when we lived out in the country, we had cats. And my mother had one in particular named Panther that would trot off and come back embarazada with kitten. She would come back and pregnant, to the point where we joked about cats being born pregnant. And this cat would show up. She was a horrible mother. This cat would show up, go into my bedroom closet, have her kittens, and then she would disappear for a few weeks. And I would be I would have a little eardropper bottle that I would feed these kittens out of to make sure they didn't die. And I would nurse these kittens, and I would raise these kittens. I would nurse these kittens with this eardropper bottle, and I would raise these kittens. I would take them outside, and they would follow me everywhere because, you know, according to them, I'm their mother. They would follow me everywhere. We'd go outside, and I'd throw grasshoppers in front of them so that they could get excited about catching grasshoppers. And I would take a washcloth, and I would aggressively stroke them with this damp, warm washcloth so they could be cleaned up. Her name was Panther, yeah. and I would stroke her there, and then I would, you know, I would take them outside. We did that through several generations. We had several dozen cats outside that I was their mother. And then we had, when my wife and I first got together, we had one named Jello, solid black as night, very sleek looking cat, and his name was Jello. And he was named that because he would sit on a wooden rocking chair, and we would rock the rocking chair, and his whole body would just go like this. He was that relaxed. His whole body would just rock on that rocking chair. He was that relaxed all the time. But eventually, there were enough kittens that they started having kittens outside, and they were feral, and they wouldn't come to us. We'd still feed them. My mom's Panther had 13 kittens her first litter. But eventually there were so many of them that they were feral, and that happens a lot. You end up with a lot of cats. What is today, the 15th? You end up with a lot of cats in your neighborhood and outside that they're domestic cats, but they're not tame cats. And if you have a lot of, like our neighborhood, where there are a lot of feral cats, and people put food out for the feral cats, and that's fantastic. That's great, because the cats need to be able to live. But the best thing you can do is gather those cats up, take them and get them spayed and neutered, and then bring them back and release them where you found them. And the reason you want to do it that way is because that way they will come back. If you take them away and out of the neighborhood, there will be other cats will come in, and you'll have more feral kittens. But if you put them back in the neighborhood after they've been spayed and neutered, they'll maintain their place, and they'll keep other cats and animals away, and still maintain their place of eating the snakes, rodents, and bugs, but not have any more feral kittens. So that's what you want to do with those. All right, let's see here. Let's stop the camera switcher, and let's go to overhead, and you can see how my cat compares to the little statuary picture that I took the other day. But let me show it to you from my perspective. So let me get this camera down here. I will show it to you from my perspective so you can see how it looks from where I was. I've got shadows. I've got new cables setting across. I'm trying something new with the microphones. I noticed on my shorts it was very tinny sounding, so I'm trying something new with the microphones. So there's the finished product. Right? So guys, thank you so much for joining me. Let's see real quick what we have for tomorrow. Girl 2 has already pulled the egg for tomorrow. See all the microphones? And you still cannot see. Hang on, let me see if I can do this. Nope, it's not that one. It is this one. See my dad's shirt with my paintbrush. So okay, so Girl 2 has pulled a egg for us already. And it is a Disney King. So this is what we'll be doing tomorrow. We'll be talking about royalty and Disney movies with kings in them. So be sure and tune in tomorrow. Same Artistic Biker time, same Artistic Biker channel. And we dance. We dance till somebody says they see me dancing, because that means that lag has caught up with the stream, and I know I won't be caught mid-sentence,